Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel and today I'm going to be doing, once again, everybody's favorite video of the month, which is my monthly wrap-up video. So I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of February. Yeah, so first of all, I want to apologize for not having put up a video for a few weeks again. Stuff happened. Like, things happen sometimes. There was, I had a bad mental health weekend, and then I had a technical difficulties weekend, and then I got sick, and I'm still really congested, but, like, I'm gonna push through because I really want to make at least my February wrap-up video, because I read some really fun books in February, and I want to talk about them. So that's where we're at. So yeah, I ended up reading 7 books in February, which is more than I kind of thought it would be at the beginning of the month. February is a short month. I also did not finish a book until like almost halfway through the month. But then once I got going, the wins just kind of kept coming. It helped that we had some really bad weather this month, and I was sort of stuck inside for a while. And then I got sick. So I've had a lot of time to read in February for various reasons. But yeah, so it took me almost 2 full weeks into the month before I was able to actually finish a book. But then once I did, I got 7 of them done in quick succession. So it's actually one more than what I managed in January. Though admittedly, that 7th one, I finished it, well, it's as you'll see when I get to it, it's the very last one. It's a very, very short novella. I was able to listen to it at work because I had a slow day at work on Friday, the last day of the month. The last day of the month tends to be pretty slow. Fridays tend to be pretty slow. And I was like, maybe I should just sneak one in, a short one. So I did. So that made it 7. But anyway, of these 7 books, 6 of them are continuations of series that I have been reading, and the 7th is the start of a new to me series. So that's where we're at with my series reading, at least. These are all series books. And I had a really, really good time with all of them, honestly. Like, I've just been vibing, just reading books that I really enjoyed, and having a good time. So, great, excellent. So yeah, the first book that I finished in the month of February was A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. So I listened to this on audio. This is the second in the, I believe it's called The Elements of Cadence duology. It's a little bit of a romantasy-ish thing, Celtic inspired. It was very fun. I really enjoyed it. Maybe not quite as much as the first book, but that's kind of how these things tend to go. The first book really grabs me, and then the second book is like, yeah, this is more of the same. So yeah, it's the finale continuation of this duology about our main characters are he's a bard, she's the daughter of a laird on this island that they both grew up in. They knew each other as children. Didn't like each other very much as children. He comes back as an adult and now a trained bard, and then they reconnect, fall in love. There's a lot of political stuff going on about how the island is divided into 2 halves, and one half, they're sort of somewhat cursed, each half. So, like, the one half of the island, they're very prosperous, they have good harvests, and all of that, but if they use magic or enchantments, it hurts them, it harms them, it makes them ill, and shortens their lives. The other half of the island, they can use magic all they want, and they have all kinds of enchanted weapons and clothing and such, but their harvests are very bad. They're not nearly as prosperous, and they end up having to raid over the line, over the border, to get enough food to even survive the winters, and there's spirits going on, and it's very interesting and fun, and world building is great. The characters are really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this duology. I like Rebecca Ross's writing, at least in this duology. I've not read her other duology, which begins with Divine Rivals. I haven't done that yet. It's on my to read list. I'll probably get to it at some point. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. This is fun. I believe I gave it like 4 stars on Storygraph, so, which I think is probably the same that I gave the first one, A River Enchanted. So yeah. The next book I completed in February is Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. So yeah, this is again the next book in the Realm of the Elderlings series, and the first book in the next trilogy, the Tawny Man trilogy. I loved this. I really loved this. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the Live Ship Traders. I thought that was a great trilogy. I thought there were some great characters and some great arcs in that trilogy, and I loved the world. I really loved the world building of the Live Ship Traders. That was amazing. But boy, it was so nice. It was so wonderful to be back with Fitz and the Fool and their relationship. I love these two. I really love these two. I particularly love the Fool now in the Tawny Man trilogy. Like, I love now that he is the Tawny Man, right? He's or Lord Golden. I love him, right? I absolutely loved him in this book. I thought he was amazing. This book was yeah, so it was all the feels basically in this book. All the feels. I really, really enjoyed every moment with this book. I just devoured it, ate it up. Can't wait to get to the second one. I don't even know what else to say about this book because, you know, like all of Robin Hobb's books, like there is a plot, but like summarizing the plot doesn't really do anything justice in this book because it's really about the characters. And that's what I'm here for with these books, is the characters, and especially, again, the relationship between Fitz and the Fool, which is just chef's kiss, right? Perfect. Amazing. Love it. 5 stars. 10 out of 10. No notes. Could not ask for a better follow-up to the Farseer trilogy. Then we had a new release in February, one that I actually was anticipating, and I picked it up. I actually was able to get it on a pre-order like about a week before it came out because Barnes & Noble was having like a 50% off pre-orders thing, so I got it for half off. And that is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. So this is the third and final book in the Emily Wilde trilogy, and I picked it up and I immediately read it because I wanted to, and I thoroughly enjoy Emily Wilde. And sure enough, this was very fun. I loved it. Again, this is the third book in a trilogy, so like I don't really want to say much about it for fear of like spoiling anybody. And I'm sure like, and also like everybody's reading this book, I'm sure, because Emily Wilde is really popular. So like I don't really know what to say about it except that I love Emily. I love I love Bambleby, Wendell. They're great. This is a fitting conclusion. It's very fun. Again, like this, like in terms of like, is there a lot of substance to these books? I mean, no. They're just fun. I just like them. They're just really enjoyable. And again, I continue to really enjoy the way the fairies are portrayed in these books, right? Like, they're often very genuinely scary and monstrous, both like physically in terms of how they look, but also in terms of often how they act, right? So like the courtly fae, which is what Wendell is part of, sort of, are like, they're beautiful, right? They're gorgeous, but they're also capricious. They're also thoughtless. They also often lack empathy. They're often very cruel. And I really enjoy that about the fairies in this book, is that many of them are very monstrous in various ways, but also some of them are quite endearing. Like Poe, for instance, who is scary looking, but he's a friend, right? He's scary looking, but also friend-shaped. So there's that. But yeah, so really enjoyed this. This is great, heartwarming, thoroughly. This trilogy is just a fun time. It's just a fun time. Then I started a new series, new to me. I listened to The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. As you may be aware, I read The Warm Hands of Ghosts last year by Catherine Arden. That's her most recent standalone historical fantasy novel. I really liked that book. I gave it 5 stars. It made it to my top 10 list of the year. And I've been planning to read her trilogy, fantasy trilogy, the Winter Night trilogy, for a while. My hold on The Bear and the Nightingale finally came in, so I listened to it. It was great. I liked it. It's a perfect, for me, it was the perfect blend of atmospheric, fairy tale-esque fantasy blended with historical type setting of, sort of medieval Russia that I really, really, really like, right? That combination really works for me, and Catherine Arden's prose continues to be very much my thing, right? So I just was really into this, and I can't wait to read the second one. I'll probably read the second one pretty soon, actually. So there we go. The next book that I completed in the month of February was The Treason of Isengard by Tolkien, edited by his son Christopher. This is the 7th book in the History of Middle-earth series, and the 2nd book in the sub-series, which is the history of the Lord of the Rings, right? So this is the manuscript history. So this is part of the manuscript history, the draft history of Lord of the Rings, where Christopher Tolkien is tracing the development of the Lord of the Rings, basically from its earliest origins through to its publication in the mid-50s. So this particular volume covers more or less the years 1941 to 42, in which Tolkien is developing, among other things, the big thing that sort of comes into play in this book, one of the big things, is, of course, Saruman and his role as a traitor, and the development of that in conjunction with the development of Gandalf and who and what Gandalf is, and who and what the wizards are, is a big part of this. Another major thing that comes into play in this volume is Galadriel and Lothlorien, and who Galadriel is. Galadriel is a character who never existed until basically this point, 1941, 1942, when he's writing The Lord of the Rings, and specifically writing the part of the book where they're in Lothlorien. And she very quickly develops as a very important role in the narrative and in Tolkien's conception of Middle-earth, to the extent that once The Lord of the Rings is published, he would go back to the older Silmarillion material and start to try and integrate Galadriel back into that Silmarillion material. So this is a very interesting volume. I really enjoy all of these books. I have a really good time with these. I've said before, these are really for the really diehard Tolkien fans and people who are really interested in literary criticism and literary theory, which is me. That's me. I'm the intended audience for these books. But most people probably are not the intended audience for these books, which is fine. But yeah, this is a really good book. I enjoyed it a lot. It's great. And yeah, by the end of it, we're getting into the death of Boromir and starting to write about Treebeard and the Rohirrim, and I'm really excited to get to the next one in this series, which I believe is called The War of the Ring. So, that'll be fun. The next book that I finished was Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the second book in Between Earth and Sky trilogy, and yeah, the sequel to Black Sun. I devoured this in 3 days. It was really good. It's a lot shorter than it seems because the margins are quite large and the print is also relatively large. It's almost 385-page book, but it was a quick read. It was a really quick read, and yeah, I liked it. I think it does suffer a little bit from sophomore slump, I think, but it definitely left me excited to see where she goes with Mirrored Heavens, the third one. So I'll definitely be trying to get to that pretty soon as well. And then the final book that I finished in February was Into the Riverlands by Nevo. This is the third of the Singing Hills cycle, and again, this is so short that I almost don't know what to say about it, except that I continue to love it. I was really glad that Almost Brilliant was back, because Almost Brilliant was not in the second one, and I kind of missed that banter. Almost Brilliant brings another level of banter to the proceedings that makes it really even more fun. So I was really glad that Almost Brilliant was back. Really continue to enjoy this story about the power of stories and all the wonderful characters that we meet on the way. It's a delightful palate cleanser. Love Nevo's prose. Love everything about this. Great stuff. So yeah, those are my reads for February. I'm starting to lose my voice again, so I'm going to leave it there. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books, liked them. What books did you read in February? What were some of your standouts? Got any big plans for March? And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.